Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate and today I'm going to be teaching you how to paint this easy watercolor lantern. Let's get started. To start this painting, we are first going to draw in our lantern. So we are going to start with the top of the lantern and we are going to make a rectangle shape. And then we're going to curve the bottom. We're going to curve the top as well. So we're going to start like that, and then we're going to have two rectangles coming off either side, curved as well. And then I'm going to bring a little swirl down to connect either side. I'm just going to leave that for now. I'm going to move to the top. I'm going to create a rim around the top. And then I'm going to kind of just give it a little pointed hat. So I want to bring that point to the middle, and then I'm bringing that back down. And then I'm just going to give a small little circle on the top of my lantern. And then down here, it's going to all connect with a tiny little oval. And it's also going to have something coming down, and these are going to be thicker. So the one in the middle is kind of showing that it would be like on the other side as well. And then I'm going to grab my ruler just to help me stay steady. And I'm just going to bring a very light line straight down. Yep, and just like that, we have the base for our lantern. So I'm going to lightly erase my lines and then we can start painting. Now to begin our painting, we are going to fill up our entire page with clean water. So I'm going to take my size 6 mop brush and I'm going to fill up this entire painting, even over our sketch, with this clean water. And this is just going to give us plenty of time to work with our painting and allow all of our colors to blend. So once you notice that you have a nice even wash over your entire painting, you can stop adding water and then we can start dropping in the paint. So I'm going to take my size 12 Princeton Snap round brush. And I've already mixed up a mixture of ultramarine blue and black. And this is going to be our sky color. So I am just going to start putting this in around, kind of like circling around the lantern. Because we want to keep the lantern white for when we put in our color onto it later. So by doing this, and having it already pre-wet, it's just going to allow us to blend in this color without getting any awkward or weird harsh lines, like dividing the light space and the dark space. So now I've cleaned my brush off all the way, and now it's just damp. And I'm going to take my damp brush, and I'm just going to come in from the white area to the dark, and just kind of pull it in just a little bit. Again, just to give the feel of it blending in without taking away the white space that we want. And I'm going to mix in a little bit more blue just because I want my outer edges to be even darker. Right now it's a very, very light gray look, but it's perfect for building on top with a darker color. So I'm just mixing that same paint mixture. I'm just going to add a lot more paint and a less amount of water. So you can already see how much darker that is. So I'm going to leave the white space, and then where it blends into that darker, I'm going to leave that. And I'm just going to start adding in the darker paint around the edges. I'm going to add a little bit more down here because my lantern isn't going to glow too far down. All right, and then once again, I'm going to clean this brush off completely. And then from this wet area, I'm going to blend down, just again to keep us from getting any harsh lines. So I'm going to blend in just a little bit more, down and around. All right, and I'm going to do this one more time by mixing an even darker layer of that blue and black for the very far outer edges. So just a lot of ultramarine, and then I'm going to go into Payne's Gray just a little bit, and then black, to just get this really dark blue color. And I'm just going to layer that right on the outside area of our painting. So you can just really see the gradient effect that we're going to get. Right around the edges. And then once again, I'm going to clean my brush off. And I'm going to blend that dark color down closer to the top, because the light from our lantern is going to come down beneath the top. It's not going to really show above its cap. So I'm just going to try to put some more of this darker paint a little bit closer to the top, just for a little bit more realistic of really where the glow from the lantern is going to come from. Right, I'm just going to blend that around. And just blend this. Just kind of have fun playing with these dark colors. And then once everything is where you like it, we can stop and we can wait for this to dry, and then we're going to move on to the center of our lantern. So now what we're going to do is we're going to very, very lightly just draw in kind of where our flame is going to be. So I'm just doing a traditional flame shape just to give me some guidance on where I want to put the lightest point of the lantern. You do not have to do this if you don't want to. For me, I just thought it would give me a little bit more guideline. And so now I'm going to fill up the entire center of our lantern with some clean water. So just the inside, even where we just drew our flame. just like that. And then with the same brush, I'm going to go straight in to my cadmium yellow paint mixture. And I am just going to begin filling in all around that flame area. Kind of loose, not going too crazy about exactly where my light is going. I'm keeping it within the border of my lantern. And then I'm going to switch to my cadmium orange. I'm starting out with some light tones, and then I can always darken up as we go. And I'm just going to start blending that in right on top of that yellow, going upward to the top of where we wetted our lantern. And I want the orange to come down, so I'm going to add a little bit more pigment. I want the orange to come down to the side, kind of come up. So I'm going to get a little bit darker orange. It's always better to start out lighter because you can always add more pigment, but it's very hard to take the pigment away. So there's my orange. I'm going to clean my brush off. And I'm going to go back into my cadmium yellow and do the same thing. I'm going to get a little bit more pigment. And I'm going to tap it in, starting where the orange stopped. And just tapping in around there. I'm going to clean my brush off. And with a damp brush, I'm just going to blend this a little bit. So I'm blending up toward the orange rather than carrying that orange down. Just going to bring that along the sides. And then I'm going to get a little bit more pigment and tap it in because I feel like with blending I lost some of that vibrancy. All right, and we're going to leave that. I'm going to clean my brush off completely, and we can keep moving on while this is wet. I'm going to add some clean water below my lantern. So kind of cupping around from the top of where it glows. And I'm just going to leave a decent amount of space in between that wet paint we just put in and where I am wetting around it. And a tip for this, you want to wet farther out than you're planning to put the paint. This is another trick so that you don't get any harsh lines and everything will just blend nice and smoothly. All right, so now with this, I'm going to go in with a light wash of cadmium yellow. I'm just going to start tapping that around my lantern. And so this is a lot lighter than what's inside the lantern because this is just kind of going to be the glow that's coming down to the street beneath. The imaginary street we can't see. And I'm just going to do this all the way down to where it starts to meet the blue. And I'm going to blend this out because it was not wet enough to blend. All right, and then I'm going to go in with this orange, a nice light wash. And this is going to be closer to the top. So I'm just going to tap it in to blend in with that yellow. But as we get farther down, we're going to not see the orange as much. It's just going to get less. All right, I'm going to add just a little bit more of the yellow to the top. All right, and then I've noticed that I do have a bloom mark, so I'm going to fix that real quick. You can see right here where the water and blue met, it just kind of got a little bit of a harsh line. So I'm just going to smooth that out all the way to the edge of my painting, just so we don't have any weird marks, which I've been mentioning a lot in this video, so I'm hoping we can avoid it. All right, so we are going to let this dry, and then we're going to move on to finish off our lantern. And I'm going to just use black paint straight out of the pan. Yeah, I'm just going to use it straight out of the pan. I'm going to get a nice even wash, and I'm just going to paint up from the bottom. I'm just going to take my time and just fill in this entire lantern with this black paint. So this will be really the easiest part of this painting. It might be a little bit more time consuming just because we're going to be very careful about staying within our lines. But if you want, you don't have to be as structured as I am with this step. You could just draw or paint in a very quick loose line all the way up without needing to be too detailed, especially if you're going for that loose look. Then I'm going to come right around here. Going to add just a little bit of water to my mixture just to dilute the black just barely for this circle area. And I'm going to go up. Like that. Repeat the same thing on the opposite side. And then don't forget this back. Gonna add a little bit more paint to my mixture. And then I'm going to very carefully, with the tip of my brush, I'm going to follow these guidelines we had put in place earlier. curve it around. I'm going to create a base just right on the top of those curved pillars we created. Just need a little bit more paint on my brush to get it to go all the way. Just like that. And then we're going to go back into the top. Again, we're just going to fill it in. I'm going to take a little bit more black on my brush. Kind of sharpen up the edges just a bit. Just going to paint in this side a little bit more. And I'm going to clean my brush just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean. And then I'm just going to blend it out this way, just to create a little bit more of a natural shadow. And then we're just going to keep going up the top of the lantern. So kind of have it curved. Hat on it. And a little rounded top. And then just fill it in. All right, and there you have an easy watercolor lantern.